Hello everyone, this is Big Z here, and this is A Breath of an Animated Life. Today we're going to analyze Small Sacrifice by Cassie Lawler. Now this is amazing, it's a student animation, and granted it doesn't have the best animation and maybe the best music, it's still a pretty good animation overall. So we gotta look at Casey's work and see what can be done better, the process of which Casey did, the mechanics, the art, and see what medium was used. I mean, overall, it was just overall a good animation. But we just gotta analyze it a little bit deeper because hey, I enjoy doing stuff like that, and it's just interesting to see how people did stuff and make the animation just what it is to give it life. So if you like this stuff, please, like this video. Please subscribe to this channel and turn on those notifications so you can keep up with the great stuff that we gotta keep seeing. So without further ado, let's analyze. So I'm gonna begin with the review of the story. So basically, you have a vixen who has a good life. She has a nice, cozy home, has a maid, has food, and beginning she sees, her maid catching food, and she felt kind of bad, and maid was, trying to show off to her, of course. And while they were going back to his den, she found these bunny rabbits who most likely saw their mom getting killed, or maybe just another rabbit being killed, to be honest, because seeing their own mom be killed made them more afraid of the vixen. Then when the vixen was like, crap, we need to do something, and she decided she's got to take them in. And of course, throughout the whole process of the story, you see the vixen, trying best to raise the rabbits the best way she could, try best to get her food that she eats, but they don't eat it. Try best to play with them, but the man fox wanted, attention, and things definitely got more serious as time went on. As time went on, she began to pretty much not get food for herself. There was tension between the male fox and her, and the breaking point was when the male fox was trying best to impress her, or maybe was about to pounce with the bunny rabbits, and he decided, you know what, I don't care about you anymore, and she lost her mate. And one thing after another was just not doing great for her. I mean, and now she's beginning to get weaker and weaker, and she needs to get food for them. And there was one point where she was about to go back to her animal state and eat the rabbits, but she controlled herself, thankfully, and she went to a farmer's house with the rabbits to get food and herself some food, and that didn't work out because they almost got killed by the farmer and his dogs. And then, at the very end of the story, we see, the bunny rabbits, seeing that she did a lot for her. She literally sacrificed a lot for them, those small bunny rabbits. And they decided, they grown up to leave. And they learned a lot from her, even some, cool hunting techniques. And they feel like they can grow up and she, was happy that she did it. I mean, at the end, we presume she has died from all that work she done, but she was at peace with herself that she did the right thing, and I must say that was a very touching ending. Granted, it was a sad ending. It was a very touching ending indeed. Small Sacrifice has definitely shown the audience that the animals went from two different states. They went from the animal state, was their primal state, then they went to their humanity. Now, not all animals had that. The animals that had it were basically the main characters, the vixen and the bunny rabbits. The male fox did have some of that, but then it went away. And, it was definitely, a very, interesting look to see how, the vixen handled herself throughout this very, hard, challenge she placed herself into, because she didn't have to do that. She could just give, the rabbits, up to her mate, and they could have food and they'd be happy. They have a family. But the vixen decided that she's gonna do the right thing because she felt bad for the bunny rabbits. And that humanity was definitely there, and slowly and surely, the humanity was going little by little by little. First, with her mate, being gone from her because she decided to, go with the rabbits. Then him, and then she was definitely being tempted with eating the rabbits, even though She didn't want to, but she was getting hungry, and her promise they were saying you must eat. And of course, at the very end, she did so much for the rabbits that they left, and they were thankful for her. They were definitely thankful for her. But she has some of the consequences, which in her case was death. But at the same time, she accepted that, and I feel like that's a good lesson for a lot of people that no matter what the consequence is for doing the right thing, are you willing to go that far to do it? And I'm not gonna bring other things from other sources like religion or morality. I mean, I'm not gonna go into all that. But the story has definitely hit an interesting point about how far will someone go to do good. What are they willing to sacrifice themselves? Hence the term small sacrifice. You know, Brando, she did sacrifice herself, and by doing small things here and there, it grew up to be a big sacrifice overall for her. And I think Blaine Rabbit saw that, and she knew what she was doing, and she accepted the consequences. And yet, at the end, even though she, perished, she was at peace with herself. And I must say, being peace with yourself with doing the right thing is definitely a great lesson to be learned from here. And honestly, the story was well done from the idea of the storyline and what needs to be done. I just say for the story it was definitely well done. And I also like the way that the story has definitely depict temptation, because temptation to a lot of people feel like if you had to be addicted to this, or you had to be this and that to be tempted. But temptation in this case is the struggle from for doing good, because sometimes you're tempted to go back to your old self. The fox was tempted to go back to her primal self to eat, but she had humanity in her heart to pretty much stop her. So it's not easy overall, because the fox has to pretty much adjust herself and work on it, every day to pretty much help these, bunny rabbits survive. And I feel like a lot of people just don't see that, especially different works. I mean, because we basically see the montage, we basically see, all the great poses and clips that, oh, this person did a right thing. But to have a story that kind of focuses on, the struggles for doing right and the consequences that may come to it, but yet you're at peace knowing that you did the right thing. A lot of stories don't do that, and I'm very happy that this animation has done that. Now, for the visuals for the animation, the visuals were plain but straightforward. They were not fancy but straightforward. There was some shading here, some lighting there, but overall the visuals were very straightforward. And kind of reminded me of some of the visuals remind me of the Warriors books. Some people will draw some Warriors characters online, and some of the characters kind of remind me of that, especially the male fox. But I mean, there was moments that it did very well indeed, with the dynamic lines for showcasing the character. When you look at some of the characters, face, when they have like a close-up view, you see the detailed lines of the character. Sometimes when the character's growling, you see their mouth, define lines, showcasing where the teeth are. So those moments in which you have a good close-up shot, and you look at the character, you see the defining lines to help bring the character out a lot more. Now the animation was okay overall. I won't say it's the best animation I saw, because the animation was very, stagnant in some places and not so much in a lot of places it could have been used. But at the same time, it was a student project and they only had so much time, and I'm giving the student the benefit of the doubt. But I mean, when you look at the animation, you see the student using some techniques that they learned along the way. Like at the beginning, when the character kind of was kind of sad, the character kind of got squished a little bit. So using that squishing technique was useful. Or when the bunny rabbits was following the fox for the first time to the den, the bunny rabbits were not fully animated. It was just like kind of like the bunny rabbits overall shape, and they kind of just jump in curves. That was like another technique that the student used. So I won't say that student animation was like greatly great, but I would say the techniques they learned definitely helped the animation out a lot, because even if though the animation was not so flowing all the time, there will be more work to do, because if you make a flowing animation, that's gonna be a lot of frames to draw between each pose. So, I mean, you gotta think this is, a specific time period that the student has to do this work at, and it's gonna take time. And there were moments where the animation was fluid indeed, like when the foxes were growling at each other, or when the vixen was, growling and showing her teeth. That was one moment that was, very unique. And I must say, I mean, that definitely showcased the animators, ability to do, a very straight and clean animation. But I mean, animation doesn't have to be, fluid all the time. Even though the animation wasn't, overall amazing, it was okay for a student project. And I must say, seeing those techniques in action kind of helped me understand, how these techniques are done to make the, the animation, work and give its meaning, straight and clear. Now the music was definitely dynamic indeed, and it definitely followed, the mood and the storyline from the beginning to the climax to the resolution. It was definitely dynamic overall, and I really enjoyed it. And it reminds me of the famous composer Richard Wagner, and Mr. Wagner got a chance to use music in a way that's very similar to our music today. It's very dynamic in which it follows the storyline pretty closely. And people back in the day didn't understand that because it's kind of weird that the music kind of follows that setup. But as we as time continue, he was one of the pioneers of using that type of music for for performance. Basically, the music follow along with the story. So the story definitely did a very very good job with making the music dynamic and follow along with all throughout the story, and I just like that. And that, guys, is my analysis for Small Sacrifice. I must say, the studio animator here has done a really good job for this animation. I mean, it was definitely a touching animation, a moving animation in my heart because it definitely showcased for me, it's not easy doing these, stuff for people. Sometimes you just want to be mean. Sometimes you just want to, care for yourself, but doing the right thing and understanding, the consequences with it and being at peace with it, I like that. So I must say this vixen is definitely, showcase to me a lesson that I need to work on myself. So I must say the animation overall, if I had to give it a grade, I give it a B plus to an A. I mean, granted, though the animation wasn't great, but everything else, the music, the visuals, it could be better, but the story was well done. I mean, overall, I give it a B plus to an A. I can't really decide, but I must say the story was well done, and I can't wait to see more student projects because this was amazing. So, guys, if you really like this, please like the video. Please, subscribe to my channel to see more of this. I want to pretty much continue doing this stuff because I really want to see more student animations. Any creative students doing great animations. I gotta make sure I put a link down to this student animations, page. If he has, if he or she has a social media platform. I gotta look up that information too. We need to support these students. So please support these students. Please support these creators to help them out. And if you have any videos you want me to see, please suggest them in the comments below. But guys, that's it for me. You guys have a blessed day or night depending on where you are. And I'll see you guys next time.